There was the same red glare as far as the eye could reach, and small waves were lapping the hot sand in little, flurried gasps. As I walked toward the boulders at the end of the beach, I could feel my temples swelling under the impact of the light. It pressed itself on me, trying to check my progress. And each time I felt a hot blast strike my forehead, I gritted my teeth. I clenched my fists in my trouser pockets and keyed up every nerve to fend off the sun and the dark befuddlement it was pouring into me. Whenever a blade of vivid light shot upward from a bit of a shell or broken glass lying on the sand, my jaws set hard. I wasn't going to be beaten, and I walked steadily on. The small black hump of rock came into view far down the beach. It was rimmed by a dazzling sheen of light and feathery spray. But I was thinking of the cold, clear stream behind it, and longing to hear again the tinkle of running water. Anything to be rid of the glare, the sight of a woman in tears, the strain and effort, and to retrieve the pool of shadow by the rock and its cool silence. But when I came near, I saw that Raymond's Arab had returned. He was by himself this time, lying on his back, his hands behind his head, his face shaded by the rock while the sun beat on the rest of his body. One could see his dungarees streaming in the heat. I was rather taken back. My impression had been that the incident was closed and I hadn't given it thought on my way here. It struck me that all I had to do was turn and walk away and think no more about it, but the whole beach, pulsing with heat, was pressing on my back. I took some steps toward the stream. The Arab didn't move. After all, there was still some distance between us. Perhaps because of the shadow on his face, he seemed to be grinning at me. I waited. A shaft of light shot upward from the steel. And at that moment, all the sweat had accumulated and my eyebrows splashed down on my eyelids, covering them with a warm film of moisture. Beneath a veil of brine and tears, my eyes were blinded. I was conscious only of the symbols of the sun clashing on my skull, and less distinctly of the keen blade of light flashing up from the knife, scarring my eyelashes and gouging into my eyeballs. Then everything began to reel before my eyes. A fiery gust came from the sea, and I fired 4 shots more into the innard of his body, on which there was no visible trace. And it was like knocking 4 times on the door to unhappiness.